I'm a confident person. I'm a confident person. I am a confident person. Say this out loud with me. Repeat after me. I am a confident person. Do you think it's weird? Yes, it is weird, but confidence always starts from the way we talk to ourselves. We cannot be confident unless we don't tell ourselves that we are confident, and that's all this video is about. Now, I have been somebody growing up, I have been the least confident person in my life. I had immense stage fear. The minute I would be asked to speak to people or to speak in front of people, I would be terrified. I would feel I'm sweating. I would feel butterflies in my stomach. I would feel this really bad palpitations, which would end up me being extremely nervous and not able to share what I was thinking or what I wanted to say. I did improve on this a bit, but when I came to the UK, there was a new challenge where English was the language in which I had to communicate, and English not being my first language. And many times when you're living in foreign countries, we kind of talk about confidence in line with English speaking skills, that you cannot be confident unless you don't know the language. So my story of confidence grew from that point where I could not speak to anybody, and even the thought of that would terrify me, to the day that I graduated with my PhD, and my research was about what we do and why we do that. And I did all of that in a foreign country, which is the UK. And currently I'm working here. And one of the most common things which I hear a lot from people around me, especially for those of people who are like me, for whom English is not their first language and they are in their home countries or they're in a foreign country where they have to speak in English, they always ask me how to become confident. Be English your first language or perhaps not. You might be surprised to hear 75% of people fear public speaking more than death. I thought, let's look into the reason why do we fear it so much and what it could be. So for that, let's look at what fear is. So fear is associated with a threat or danger. The minute our body realizes that there is a threat or danger around us, it goes into the fight or flight mode. And what does that mean? It tries its utmost best to save you, and biologically we start to see these effects in our body, such as increased heartbeat, shallow breathing, muscle tension, increased adrenaline, and of course butterflies in the stomach. And why does that happen? Because every single time we feel nervous, there's a little thing in our brain called amygdala which cannot differentiate between if you are in real danger or perhaps you're just about to speak in public. And so it just sends your body into the fight and flight mode. But guess what? That's really good for us, because according to a study in Yale University, all those situations really increases our focus by 15%. So every single time you feel extremely nervous, in those situations, you would notice that your focus has really gone up. So one way of looking at it is that every single time you fear talking in public and you feel that your heart is racing and you're feeling these palpitations, tell yourself there's nothing to worry about. Actually, your body is prepping yourself to do really well and giving you the power to do so. Second point I really want to talk about building confidence in public speaking is the language proficiency. Let me just bust this myth. So I have heard this from so many people, the people I've studied with, my colleagues, now my students, is that I feel extremely nervous and underconfident since I don't know the language. So for example, if I'm being asked to present in English and if I'm really not confident in language skills, I would feel extremely underconfident. Let me tell you one thing. English is not my first language either. I also came from Pakistan to the UK as an international student, and then I built my career here. So I absolutely hear that when somebody tells me, well, I really feel underconfident based on the language. But you know what? We don't really give ourselves enough credit when it comes to foreign language. If you look at English, no matter how good your English is, or perhaps not that good, English is not your first language if you are not a native speaker. So then why even to think about feeling underconfident or nervous while speaking? Actually, you should appreciate the fact that you have made an effort to speak a foreign language. If you ask a foreigner to speak in your language, would they be able to even converse word to a sentence? Most of the time, they won't. So even if you're talking in English and you find some grammatical errors or you find some pronunciation mistakes, it's okay, because English is not your first language, and you should give yourself the credit that you are making this effort to speak in a different language, and that's great on its own. Also, if you look at why language is important, it's just to communicate with people and connect with people. If you're good at connecting with people And if you're good at communicating with people, my language barrier, I would not even consider that much. All right, sometimes we think that if we practice again and again and again the same presentation, we would perform really well. Now, each to their own. I'm only telling you my personal experience. It has never worked for me. When I came to the UK for my MBA, I would see my fellows having all these cards prepared from which they would practice our presentations. So I thought to myself, maybe, something I should learn as well. Maybe by doing that, I would perform better. So I also practiced with those cards. But guess what? On the day of presentation, since I tried to memorize from those cards, I fumbled on few words and then that was it. It was all gone from my mind and I could not continue. And from that day onwards, I thought to myself, I should prepare for everything really well, put all the time, energy and effort into it, but practicing it word by word is not my thing. So what I do now, I always make bullet points where I know that what I need to talk about and what is the key message I would like to convey through this bullet points, and that's about it. I do not memorize anything word by word because I cannot remember every single thing. Also see what would work better for you. Another trick which most of the top performers, athletes do is that every single time they have to get into a nerve-wracking task, they practice it mentally. They would rehearse it mentally. So I would give you my example. Even for these YouTube videos, every single time when I know that I would be filming these videos, in my head, I know what I'll be talking through, how I will be sitting, what would be the key points I'll be talking through. And I would just envision everything, that how would it look like? And actually, this is also backed by research, that visualizing success actually revives your brain and keep it very calm. And it makes you believe that you can achieve it and you can do it. It could be very small things. So for example, somebody's asked a question in the class, or you would like to raise a question or a comment in your meeting. You can always visualize that beforehand and find the difference for yourself. My next tip is, even in those situations where you don't feel ready, always say yes. Now you might think, well, if I'm not ready, if I'm not prepared, why should I say yes? Wouldn't that make me extremely nervous? Guess what? It won't. Actually, a survey by Toastmaster found that 80% of new speakers improve after just 5 tries. And don't even think twice that, oh my God, if I have to convey in English, what would I say? What would I do? Remember, practice makes us perfect. So next time when somebody asks you something, or there's an opportunity where you can stand up and share your comments or thoughts, be the first one to do it. Because first time might not be good, second time might not be, but keep on trying. Ultimately, you would find your place and you would see that improvement in yourself. And finally, face your fear. And actually, that's my key learning as well. You might not even believe it that even today, when I have to talk to new people, or when I'm in my class, or if I'm in a very important setting at my workplace, every single time when I have to say something, I'm always nervous mentally, and in my heart, I know that I'm going through all those things. But the only thing which I've changed and which has really worked for me is that every single time I go through those emotions, those feelings of increased heart rate, high adrenaline, muscle tension, I tell myself, this is not fear. Actually, I really care for this to go really well. I've learned this really good hack from a TED Talk which I watched a few years ago, where they explained that next time when you face a situation where it really makes you scared, when you go through all those feelings, tell yourself that you're not feeling anxious. Actually, this is your body's reaction to prepare you even better because you really cared for this thing to go really well. So face your fear. Never run away from them. Because guess what? The more you would run away from your fears, they would chase you back. And the end results, you won't improve. So, my final thoughts. Next time you feel anxious, just reframe that in your mind as your superpower. Secondly, do not think about your language proficiency, that your English has to be perfect. 3, do not over-practice. Practice lightly, not like a robot. 4, visualize your success before even it happens. 5, say yes even before you're ready. And finally, face your fears. I really hope this video helps you and you also feel a lot more confident in your next communication. Don't forget to let me know in the comment section. Take care. Until next video. Bye.